I had a nervous breakdown. Like I went into a full-blown panic attack. I couldn't breathe. Like I couldn't catch my breath. I don't know how I was going to drive an hour home. Like I thought I was going to have to go to the ER. Like I was losing my mind. So I called them, and to get an appointment in there was like, they didn't give a shit. It's like they just didn't care. Like they told me I was going to have to do a year of chemotherapy. And at the time I weighed 117 pounds. A year of chemotherapy would have killed me. So after all the research that I did, he told me that my hair was going to fall out. I couldn't get nails. My nails were going to be brittle. My skin was going to be awful. My hair, my lashes, and then he looks at me and says, your muscles, you can forget about those. I said, you can get out. I don't want you to be anywhere near me.
Join us for part 1 of our talk with a cancer survivor and bodybuilder who shares how she beat cancer and stays fit. Welcome to the My Florida Green podcast. Today we have Crystal Ramage here. She is a patient on the platform of ours and also a cancer survivor and a bodybuilder. And I think you have a really inspirational story to share with us today. And I first just want to thank you for coming on.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. It's and I got to know you prior to this, so I'm just really glad to know you, know a bit about your journey, and I'm so excited for you to share because I know that there's other people that are going to really be able to benefit from your journey.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
So again, I just really appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, no problem.
So first, let's start out. How did you get into bodybuilding, and can you tell us a little bit about your journey with cancer and how you survived it?
Yeah, so I started bodybuilding not because I wanted to. I was doing jiu-jitsu and I was training Muay Thai and I was cutting every weekend to cut weight for a show, and I couldn't do it anymore. Like I was cutting 15 pounds in a day, and a friend of mine was like, you should hire a coach. I was like, for what? Like I had no idea that a coach would change my life. And most people know him. He's here in town. He owns New Viva Weight Loss. His name's Jeff Delaney, and he got me started in everything, like everything. He is probably one of the best mentors I've ever had in my entire life, minus you, of course, because you were one too. But he got my weight down, and he told me the first time he said to me, when you get your weight down, you're going to want to do a show. I'm like, no, I'm not. And he goes, yes, you are. And I go, no, I'm not. So he got me down to, I want to say probably 116 pounds, like steady, so that I could fight on the lower level of jiu-jitsu, so I could get my blue belt. And I was trying to do a fight, and I wanted to do a fight, and like a stand-up fight with like full MMA, and I was nervous because my belt wasn't high enough and I wasn't good enough, and so I was doing jiu-jitsu tournaments every single weekend trying to get my belt higher. And so I hired a coach, and he was great. He got my weight down. He introduced me to like gummy bears in between like sets to like boost my sugar so that I would have more energy. It was crazy. I had no idea. He taught me so much. And then a year and a half goes by, and he goes, you want to do a show? And I said, no. And about a half a year goes by again, and he goes, you want to do a show? And I was like, no. And he's like, well, you're going to do one. You're going to do Port Charlotte. And I was like, no, I'm not. And he goes, yeah, you are. And I was like, crap. And I did it, and I got like last place. And I was pissed. And then the next show, I waited 3 weeks in between, and I got third in Fort Lauderdale. And then I went on to get second and third, first, second and third. And then I went to nationals, and 10 years later, here we are. And now I'm not competing anymore, but I did my last show last year.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So from martial arts to... boom,
And in
to
between,
bodybuilding.
I still trained martial arts. I mean, I haven't trained it in a year or so, 2 years now, but yeah.
So that's kind of your foundation, right? In fitness, in really great shape, obviously.
Well, I was a gymnast prior to that, so I was already in, like I had been into fitness most of my life. I just was doing it wrong.
Ah, okay, all right. So
I was
now
doing cardio first instead of lifting. Like it just, I was doing all the things backwards.
most of us do, at least when
Yeah,
we start.
I
So
know.
I get. So now, like starting there, and then going into when you were diagnosed with cancer. So, like, at what stage of this were you diagnosed, and what did that look like?
I was actually on prep for a show when I found out. I had just finished my last show in December, and I was transitioning into off season. And it was New Year's Eve, and I was at my last place of employment, and they told me over the phone because I wanted to know. I'm pushy. when it comes to,
Yeah.
to results and things. Like I thought they were going to have to wait until after the first of the year, and I didn't want to start the new year out not knowing. And I was getting ready to leave work that day, and the doctor called me. The nurse actually called me and told me over the phone, and I was like, I had a nervous breakdown. Like I went into a full blown panic attack. I couldn't breathe. Like I couldn't catch my breath. I don't know how I was going to drive an hour home. Like I thought I was going to have to go to the ER. Like I was losing my mind. I mean, there were some people at my last place of employment that calmed me down and like, got me to breathe normally again and all the things. But I think I was in shock. Like I had a feeling because I was the one that found it. Like I knew that there was something there, but I never thought that it would be like, hey, here's cancer. Like,
Right. So you get that diagnosis, right? You the initial shock, the dust settles. How did you navigate some of the treatment options? Like what did you weigh out and what did you kind of land on?
I instantly went down a rabbit hole, like a full blown. I didn't go to WebMD because I'm not that. I mean, I did my research. I started looking up the cancer that I had, and it was super rare. Just so you know, it was ductal carcinoma, breast cancer in the right breast, but it was triple negative, which means it has nothing to do with my lymph nodes. It has nothing to do with my hormones. Taking the breast off doesn't fix my problem. Taking the cancer out doesn't fix my problem. It's like what's the word I want to use? It's like once you take it out, it lays dormant in the body, and it could come back at any given time, and it could come back anywhere. It doesn't have to come back in that specific spot. So I instantly thought Moffitt. Like I see all these places. Like Moffitt is the place I have to go. I have the best insurance. Like that's where I'm going to go.
Right.
So I called them, and to get an appointment in there was like they didn't give a shit. Wow. It's like they just didn't care because that's what their facility is. So they wanted me to come in maybe a week from the day that I was like, I want to come tomorrow. Like, what is wrong with you people? So after trying to figure out which doctor I was going to see, and to see a woman was a 3-month wait because apparently they only have like 2. So I'm like, whatever. At this point, I just need to get in here. Like, let me get in here. So I went there and I documented it all. Like I took pictures, and I felt like people were looking at me funny because there's like this big breast sign, and I was like, Jeff, take my picture. Like having my boyfriend take my picture in front of it just because I wanted to document all of the things that I was going through. And it was hard. Like the things that the doctor said to me and all the things that they went into was not what I had been reading. And it was not the research that I had been researching myself. Like they told me I was going to have to do a year of chemotherapy. And at the time I weighed 117 pounds. A year of chemotherapy would have killed me. Like I would have died. Not to mention, he said, and after the year, then we'll do a mastectomy. We'll wait 4 months, and then you'll do another 4 months of chemotherapy. And I'm like, what? If I'm alive? Like, that's not going to work for me.
Wow.
He's like, it's going to change your whole life. Like, no, it's not. I don't think you know me that well because it's not. I sat down with a consultation, and before the doctor came in, the nurse came in, and she was wonderful. She said to me, she's doing an exam, and she's like, you're perfect for a nipple replacement. You're perfect for this. You're perfect for that. We'll do this, and then we'll do the mastectomy. And she had me thinking that it was going to be amazing. Like the treatment wasn't going to be bad, and that they were just going to do the surgery, and I didn't have to do the treatment, and I was going to be perfect. And the doctor just completely did a 180. He comes in and he's like, I won't touch you for 2 years if you're not going to do chemo. I'm like, excuse me? He's like, I won't, because it's going to come back. I was like, well, man, you're optimistic. I'm like, no, it's not. You don't know me that well. I don't think you know how determined I am. So after all the research that I did, he told me that my hair was going to fall out. I couldn't get nails. My nails were going to be brittle. My skin was going to be awful. My hair, my lashes, and then he looks at me and says, your muscles, you can forget about those. I said, you can get out. Like, I don't want you to be anywhere near me. My boyfriend was freaking out. He's like, what are you doing? Like, listen to what he has to say. And I'm like, no, I don't want to listen to what he has to say. He's wrong. And we were getting ready to leave. I'm like, God's got to give me a sign to not come back to this place. He's got to give me a sign. And I'm in tears. And I turn and I look, and it says Magnolia Place. And that was the place that I went in Naples called Magnolia Breast Center. I found Dr. Patterson. She was the best thing that ever happened to me. She said, let's take it out. Let's just take it out. Like, let's de-stress you, and let's just take it out. And I said, okay, cool. She goes, you have a little lump on the left breast that I don't like, but it's benign. There's nothing there, but let's just take it out to be on the safe side. We'll do a double lumpectomy. You'll be good to go. That day I had left there. I was a little out of it, and I was already up walking around. I didn't take the pain meds. I guess that leads me to you. I didn't take the pain meds, but I did eat some gummies. I couldn't really smoke because I couldn't cough because my chest hurt. Right, yeah. So I kind of lived on those for a couple of days. My body gets used to them really fast because my metabolism at the time was super fast. So eating one gummy did nothing for me, and eating 2 gummies sometimes did nothing for me. Mm-hmm. So like a bag would do the trick for me. And it was perfect.